Welcome to EFT Breakthroughs. Want to get the most out of this podcast? Today I will show you exactly how to do that. I'm Nancy Linneruth. Today it's just you and me, a solo episode here. And I wanted to teach you this. I've got some really powerful real-life sessions with women business owners coming every week for you. You're going to see old rules dissolve, fears collapse, maybe some new ideas bubbling up, right? Honestly, it's kind of magic. You can absolutely listen for the information or just because it's interesting. But you can also watch how I uncover the sneaky subconscious blocks that keep these brilliant women playing small. That could be useful for you. You can even test out some of those tapping techniques that I use on yourself later on, okay? But if you really want to get the most out of each episode of this podcast, tap along with me. Right here, while you're listening or watching, if you're on YouTube. And that makes it a little easier, by the way, because you'll see the points as we're tapping. But if you're just listening, you can tap on the points I'll teach you later on here. Because when you tap in real time, you're not just observing someone else's breakthrough, you're creating your own. So let's go a bit deeper on this. There are actually 3 different ways you're going to benefit from tapping along with each episode. The first one, the most basic one, is you're going to release stress. The science shows this. It shows that when you tap on these points, your cortisol levels drop very quickly. Cortisol is known as the stress hormone. In fact, the lab that did the first study on the cortisol levels, the people running that study, they didn't believe the cortisol levels dropped as far as they did. So they went back and they retested the saliva test papers that they'd been given. More than once, because it just had never done that before. So cortisol levels drop really fast. And science also shows that your amygdala downregulates almost instantly. Now, the amygdala is that mid part of your brain that is, it triggers the fight, flight, or freeze response. It is very involved in stress, as well as a lot of other things, which I'm not going to go into here. But you tap just on these points without any words at all. And you're going to start to feel much more relaxed. And that's a benefit right there. So go ahead and tap along with us. We all use a little less stress, I think. Okay. The second level of using this, tapping along with what we do in this podcast is you'll start to release blocks that you have that are similar or even maybe the same as the ones I'm working on with a guest. So for example, let's say I'm working with a guest on a block that says, I have to work hard or I'll disappoint dad. Okay. You, by tapping along with us and listening to these words and just doing that, you're going to start releasing related blocks that are pushing you to work too hard, even if they have nothing to do with your father. That's pretty cool. Now, there's one more level you can do here. And this is something I teach to my group clients to use. What it is you decide that there's something you want to release, and then you tap along with us in the podcast, and you start to release that. And you can do that even if your issue is totally unrelated to what we're working on in the podcast. You do this thing where you prime your brain to have the tapping go to your issue. It's called borrowing benefits. And it's taught out there in the world, and I use it with my group clients, so they do borrow benefits with every group meeting that we have. Basically, you notice what's been bugging you lately. It could be you've got anger or fear or frustration or some other emotion around a specific issue. Now, the more specific you get, the better results you're going to get with borrowing benefits, okay? So if you're angry at a phone call you just had with your sister, you say, I'm angry about this phone call, okay? Now you've primed your brain to use it. Or it could be a physical reaction you have. Maybe you've got this tension in your shoulders every time you think about calling this potential client. Well, go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to tap on the tension in my shoulders about that phone call, okay? It could be something that you've actually realized is a block for you. And it could sound like the sorts of things I do with my clients, where I have them repeat a sentence and then rate it. So maybe you're always telling yourself, well, I'm going to screw this up because I always do. Well, then you could borrow benefits on that. You could even rate it the way I do with my clients, 0 to 100%. When I say it, how powerful does it feel? Or it could be a belief that seems to be there for you. Well, no one's ever going to see me as an expert. Okay, there's your block. No one will see me as an expert. Go ahead and say it and rate it 0 to 100%, and then tap along with the episode. And at the end of the episode, go ahead, say it again, and get your new number on that. See if it's come down. And if you want to, you can tap along with us, play the episode more than once, and tap along with us, okay? So again, the thing is, you just want to think of what it is you want to change, and then you start tapping with the episode. Now, little caveat here, it's not usually as fast to clear an issue this way as it is working with a guide like me. But you're still going to get some benefits, and might as well, if you're listening to the podcast, might as well get some good from it for you personally. Okay, if you've never done EFT before, here, I'll quickly show you the tapping points. It's very simple. You want to drink a little water before you tap, because if you're dehydrated, it won't work so well. But the tapping points are extremely easy to learn. So if you're watching on YouTube, just tap where I tap. And in fact, you can do that with every episode just by tapping along where we tap. But I will teach you with the words as well. So if you're listening, you can go ahead and tap on yourself by using these points. So you're going to tap with 2 fingers. I usually use my index finger and my middle finger for my right hand because I'm right-handed. But you don't have to use your right hand if you're left-handed. If you're right-handed, you can switch to your left hand. I do that sometimes. I get bored. Okay. So using those 2 fingers, you're going to tap about as hard as if you're drumming your fingertips on a tabletop. So not so hard that you're going to leave a bruise, but also don't whiff it. Don't just sort of gently maybe send some air to that point. You actually want to solidly tap on the point. Okay, the first point is under your little finger between the knuckle and the wrist. There's that fleshy part there. Tap there. Okay, that's the first part. That's when we're saying, even though I have this issue, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, the next point is right where one of your eyebrows starts. And you can tap on the same side as your hand. You can cross the midline. Some people even like to use both hands, or sometimes I'll even have people cross their hands, which I won't do here because you can't see what I'm doing. So you tap where one of your eyebrows starts, and don't worry about getting these points exactly right. Like, let's say you're tapping sort of up somewhere on your forehead. You're probably still getting some benefit because the vibrations are going to get to that point. Okay, so it's forgiving. Don't think you have to get it exactly right. But one of your eyebrows, where it starts, above your nose. Okay, the next one is on the side of your eye. So on that ridge bone there, the eye socket. Don't hit yourself in the eye. Not worth it. Be careful of yourself, okay? The next spot is about 1 inch below your pupil on your cheekbone there. Next spot between your nose and your lip. Tap with 2 fingers. You can't miss that spot. You got it, okay. The next spot is under your lower lip. It's kind of that line on the top of your chin there. So you're tapping right below your lip. The next spot you could do with 2 fingers. You can do it, but it takes longer to find it. The simple, easy way is to just make a fist with the flat part of your knuckle, tap on your collarbone where a man would knot his tie. Right there, okay? Next spot, take all 4 fingers and go about, 4 inches down below your armpit. On your side. Some people will say, well, that's where your bra strap goes. Okay, that works too. I think of this as the monkey in the zoo spot because it looks kind of silly. But unless you're, out in public listening to the podcast, go ahead and do it. Might as well. And by the way, it's actually kind of a comforting thing to do. You might see, particularly men, do this where they'll put their hand at that spot, and their other hand will go over their other arm, and they'll sit back and look very stern and serious, but they're really actually hitting that comfort spot, right? So now you know what they're really doing there. Okay, the last spot is all 5 fingers right at the top of your head, and some people like to make circles there. I like to end with this spot because it's so relaxing. If you've ever done break an egg, you know, with you wrap your top of your head with your knuckles, and then you let all 5 fingers sort of trickle down the sides of your head. That's so relaxing. And they also have created this whisk thing. For a few years now, I've seen this out, and you put the whisk with the little metal balls on the top of your head, and you go up and down with it. That's just so relaxing. It's a great place to stop. So those are the tapping points. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be very easy for you to tap along with us. However, if you're just listening to it, tap on as many points as you can remember. As what I'm told is, if you tap on at least 4 of those points, you're going to get some benefits. And so if you forget some, oh well, use the other ones. If you actually have any that hurt, skip them. There's no need to hurt yourself with that. Just, I've had clients who had an injury, and so they'd go from one point and they'd skip the next one and go to the one after it. You can do that, no problem. Also, if you want to rub instead of tapping, if tapping bothers you, I had somebody who had a ball come towards their face and that was just too much for them. Rubbing would be okay, or skipping the points, of course. So those are the tapping points. And now you are all ready to make the most out of whatever comes up in these next episodes. So when I say, let's tap, do it. Tap along with me. You'll relax. You'll release any of those blocks you have that are similar to what we're working on. And maybe you'll prime your brain so that you can borrow benefits on something that's bothering you right now. And be sure to subscribe to EFT Breakthroughs so that you don't miss any of the episodes and these opportunities to tap along with me. Happy tapping.